So I wanted to start a little bit of a demo on the paint application. I know many of you are not there. You may still be making your palettes and stuff, but I wanted to have this available for you as you start to move forward on some things. And so we have I have my paints mixed up and I'm ready to go down here. I have my painting, the board that I'm going to be painting on right here. And then I also have this reference photo that I have, because between the two of these I can kind of figure out where some things are going to go. Like I know that this is a fairly dark area over there, and we'd start with the dark paints first, so I'm just going to jump into it. I got my brush, and so I'm just going to get a little bit of paint on my brush, and right along this edge right here is fairly dark, and so I'm just going to brush this in. A lot of times the dark areas, you scrub them in a little bit more. And so the nice thing about oil paints is you can control them. Watercolors, we learned that when we did watercolors, sometimes it is just like seriously out of control and you can't really get it to work for you. This one, with the tip of the brush, I can establish right where the boundary is on these things. And so there's a darker line right in this area here that we can kind of see. And if we look over here, there's also another darker line right on the edge here that I can put in as well. And so that's my dark valued paint, darkest value here. Now, some of this can pull out even a little bit more. I know I'm going to have some of the other value in there too, the next darkest value with those. And so I'm also going to pull this in kind of this direction. And so I have the first part there. Next thing I need is I do need a paper towel. Generally, you always have paper towel when you're working on this one, because when you transition colors and values. So I'm just going to take this, I'm going to fold it up like this. I'm going to pinch my brush a little bit to try and squeeze out the extra paint, and then I'm going to set it to the side, have this kind of up like that. I'm going on to my next value that we have going on here, and that's this darker blue. And I'm going to go ahead and paint right up next to it. I can even overlap a little bit. Now, a lot of times you can, with this technique, you can utilize just having it sectioned like this. So you have a dark blue section, and then you have a light blue section, or I mean a darker blue, medium blue section, and then you have a light blue section. And your eye will do the blending, but you can also blend the paints as well. Okay. And then this is going to go back here. Remember, the background, we're going to paint that later on that, because that's going to be some of our darker areas here. And so I wanted this to kind of go this way. Now you'll notice a lot of times when you put the paint down and you pull it across like this, if you push hard, you'll actually scrape up the paint. Okay? So a little bit of a light touch is helpful. And all of this is going to be this darker blue, right? There is one area that I'll probably put some of this other in, because generally you have 3 different values on any given area. And so this one here, paint by values. So I'm just trying to get all of that in there. And like I said, a lot of times you find that you do have a little bit of a lighter value, 3 values in here. Okay, I'm going to clean off my brush. And then just along the edge right here, I'm just going to put a little bit of this light blue. Now, like I said, you can utilize this, and I'm losing my voice here or something. You can have this work for you. And it's usually a softer edge, so I'm not really trying to be really tight on that shadow thing here. I'm just kind of dabbing it in a little bit. And so, but we know that it goes a little bit lighter on the edge. It becomes a little fuzzy on that. And so this is the idea of, yeah, you just put it in right where it is, and we don't need to blend. Okay? That is a technique that you can use like that. And so your eye does a lot of the blending, and that'll work for you. Most people, that's not what they want on those. And so I'm going to clean off my brush. And what they really want is they want that to blend together. And so blending values together. Now this is a bigger jump than sometimes is needed, but we're going to do it anyway. So I've cleaned off my brush, and I'm just going to drag the brush along the seam, paint on the seam between the two values. Okay, clean off my brush again. And then I'm going to come down here, like I said, and I'm going to paint along the seam between those two values, right on the seam. And maybe take the paint over, as I go this way, move the brush over a little bit into the black side of it. Like that. And then also like this. And then you can blend it. By painting along the seam, it blends the paint together. Okay? Like that. Now I'm going to go here where that white was, right? That lighter paint, the medium. And I'm going to paint along that seam. I cleaned off my brush. Notice I'm painting along the seam. And all of a sudden it blends that lighter paint into the other. And I'm going to paint along this seam here. Clean off my brush a little again. And so all of a sudden, because I painted along that seam, it's blended my paints together. I'm going to go ahead and finish off by painting in this direction so that I have the paint looks like it's going all the same direction. So now I have more of a blended area here where I have it going from dark to medium to lighter areas on there. 3 values with any given area. And that's what we're after. So in this one here, I'd probably start here with this dark blue, not darkest blue, but dark blue in here on these side, and then blend it down next in this area over here. That's probably going to have some of this stuff in it. Maybe some of this very lightest stuff right along the edge on those as we start to work together. And then that's it. That's how you add paint. That was cool. No applause? Okay. That's the end of it. What I'm going to do for the video is I'm going to create a time-lapse painting of this one, which means it'll look like it's going like at dynamite speed on those as well. So you kind of see the whole thing as it starts to develop. Anyway, that's it for applying paint to the surfaces.